And so manifestations may happen or may not happen. The big thing is what happens in the heart. But often, especially when the church is moving into new areas, God often demonstrates his power openly, physically, to really help people believe and to strengthen their faith. So that's a little bit away from the topic of the spirit world that we're looking at, but um, it's a very good question, and it's a very relevant question. Anybody else have any questions or comments about what we've been looking at, a biblical understanding of the spirit world?
Yeah, I got one question for you.
Yep.
When you were speaking of the angels, and you said you had done lots of research and read lots of things and looked into lots of things, were you saying when they look like us in terms of people with like a t-shirt and pants, were you saying um, that they are supernatural, or are you saying that they are human, that humans in our human form can be an angel for somebody else, or are you saying they are super natural?
When you, I think angels, God's God, and he can do anything he likes. I think often angels will turn up um, in a way that, look, sometimes angels have come with power and glory, but often the time they do their work incognito. Um, they don't draw attention to themselves. There's a couple of times in my life where I believe I've seen an angel, and they looked like any other Papua New Guinean. They were they were handsome. Well, they just looked like any ordinary person. It really wasn't till some time later that I thought, hang on, wonder if that was an angel. Um, Satan can appear as an angel of light. He can also come as a roaring lion. So angels may come with all the bells and whistles and wings and halos if you want it, if they want to, but most of the time they do their work without drawing attention to themselves. So I think they just I think, looked like an ordinary person. And the stories, most of the stories I heard were of, now you could argue it was just a human, but how did they know what they knew? How did they come just at that time? They never gave a name. And if you read the story of Samson, there's an angel that comes to Samson's mother and says, you're going to have a boy. And she tells her husband, and he says, I'd like to see this guy. And so the angel turns up at another time, and Samson's dad says, what is your name? So that when this comes true, I can thank you. And the angel says, my name has nothing to do with you. My name is not important. The message is what important. Satan seeks to exalt himself, lift up himself. I'll go to the top. The angels are servants, and you'll notice in the book of Revelation, there's a couple of times John falls at his knees to bow before the angel, and the angel said, no, get up. I'm just God's servant, just like you. Angels do not draw attention to themselves, and neither should we in our ministry try to draw attention to ourselves. So I think the low-level run-of-the-mill angels will turn up with flip-flops and T-shirts and whatever. They just blend in like anybody else. But there is no description of there's very few, if any, descriptions of what angels look like in the Bible that I came across. there's a there's the there's some that you wonder, was this an angel or was this Jesus um, pre-incarnation appearing? You know, the one that walked with the three men in the fiery furnace looked like the Son of God. Um, Beyond that, we have no description. Others didn't see him, just the king saw him. Anyway, that's a little discourse about angels. Any other questions or comments?
Sir, from your book, Jesus Defeated Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I've it's a really good book, very easy to read and very straight to the point. It you know you can read it easily, even a layperson. So one thing that I got from there was, who gave Satan the power? Who gave Satan the authority? What made him? So I'd like, maybe, if I don't know if you're gonna get there later, but I think you've already discussed the names and the attributes of Satan. Um, would you expound that more? Like, how did Satan gain his authority and power over us? In the book, you said it's Adam and Eve who was supposed to take control over the creation, but then they gave that power to Satan when they listened to him and submitted to him.
Okay, on one hand, you have those descriptions that we looked at before. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. So there was power, there was authority given to Satan back there as a high-ranking angel. You walked among the gems of fire, your life was right and good. So there was power, authority back there in those, before the fall happened. But I think when he was still a servant, Adam and Eve were given authority to rule over creation, not as kings, but to care for, look after um, this creation, this God's good world. But when they listened to Satan and came under him, he seized that opportunity to grab that control of the world. That seems to be the way most scholars that look at this understand it. And so that's why Jesus has come to establish his kingdom. And you notice in Revelation, there's references, and they shall reign on the earth. And so that when Jesus returns, Satan is out of the way and things come back under right and proper control, and there's no longer sin and shame and sickness and everything else. So that's my understanding.
So I have a question,
Yes, sir.
which is, uh, what happened first? Is it the rebellion of Satan or the creation of the world?
The Bible doesn't tell us, so therefore I presume that it's not all that important. It's just our curiosity. So I don't know. When you find out, you tell me. But you know, this is where we have to be careful. Our calling is not to become students of Satan, but to become followers of Jesus Christ and to live in victory over Satan. So there's things there that we would like to know that we don't know. And I presume that because God didn't make it, that God didn't reveal it, it's therefore not all that important to us. And so we just have to be content with some of these things. When we get to heaven, we can ask all the questions we like and find out all about it then. The good news is Jesus has won the victory. That's where our focus must be. Okay, somebody else?
Sir, I think I want to add to that as well. From experience, when I'm talking about spiritual battles with my small groups, the natural, and you also said it from in your book. I mean, the natural reaction of man is to be fearful. You know, when we think about these spiritual forces, um, it's like um, it's like telling ghost stories to children in a dark room, and it's like that when I teach about spiritual battles to my small groups. That's the usual reaction that I get. But as you said, the focus should be on the power of Jesus. And, studying this animistic worldview should, as you said in your book, should not give us fear, but, must give us more power because we know in the end, Jesus won the battle. And it will give us creeping feelings, but we'll have to really overcome that. And yeah, not talk about the details of Satan, but really more focused on what Jesus did.
Okay, thank you. So let's go on a bit further. Oh, discussion down
Professor, I have a question.
there. Okay.
Uh, mm, so, just wait a second. So, based on what we are talking, that I want to ask if you have the experience to share with someone who hold this religion, and such as if the one may have their experience with the magic and the tomb and the medicine. So after uh, after the and also if someone they converted to be a Christian, how they